Hi everyone, welcome back to Maximum Attack Rallying. There is but one subject for this video, one very simple question. Should Adrien Fourmaux go to Hyundai? Wow, what a question that is, and it's one that I didn't think we'd be asking a year ago. It's interesting, isn't it? It's a rumour that's been building up over the last few days, and I thought it was quite telling, perhaps, that M Sport felt the need to clarify their position with an interview with Dirtfish yesterday, talking basically saying that they want to do everything that they can to keep Fourmaux. The fact that they had to come out and say that suggests that there is perhaps no smoke without fire, as they say. It makes me think that, maybe there is some discussions going on in the background, and there should be. I think every driver should always maintain a line to every team, because things change, don't they? And as a driver, you always want to be looking for the best opportunity. So is Hyundai the best opportunity for Fourmaux? It's a difficult question, isn't it? I think, firstly, we have to say that I'm not surprised. I think with the development we've seen from Fourmaux this season, he has gone from being a driver that probably wasn't on anyone's radar particularly, to someone that is now looking, like like a complete driver almost. He's not there yet, he hasn't won a rally, but he has shown enough development, particularly this season, to demonstrate that he is a potential rally winner. He is a solid driver. He has scored multiple podiums this season. He has, he's shown that he's potentially got what it takes. So from his perspective, he has done a lot to put himself in front of the likes of Cyril Abiteboul or Jari-Matti Lafla. So, from his perspective, he's doing all the right things. He looks way more mature, way more grown up, way more focused, way more professional, way more capable, and he deserves huge credit for that. So there's that element to it. I think what is working in his favour is the way things are perhaps moving within Hyundai. So they have also come out and said that they're reconsidering their strategy for their third car, which obviously this season is split between three drivers, with Esa-Pekka Lappi, Danny Sordo and Andreas Mikkelsen. There is clearly a thought that might not be the best way to do things, and perhaps they'd be better off having just one driver doing all of the rallies. Now, it would be easy for them to pick one of their drivers, wouldn't it? That wouldn't be Danny Sordo, because I don't think we're going to see him full time. I don't know if we're actually going to see him next season at all. So you'd then be between Lappi and Mikkelsen, and maybe they feel that those drivers are not a long-term kind of deal. They're not drivers that they want to look at as someone who might be in the team for 3-4 seasons perhaps. So that is where a younger driver like Fourmaux comes in. Is that the right thing for the team? Is he the right choice for the team? Well, as I said, obviously he's demonstrated that he's progressing. Whether it's the right move for Fourmaux is probably the big question, isn't it? Is it right for him to jump across, to leave M Sport, where he's effectively the lead driver, and join Hyundai, where he would be the third driver? Is that the right thing for him to do? That is the difficult part, isn't it? And looking at it from his perspective, you have to weigh up the options, don't you? He has to weigh up the options. He goes from lead driver, he is going to be the main focus within M Sport. So he will have more of the attention. If he goes into Hyundai, he's a third driver. He knows that if he goes into that team, he is going to be asked to give position to Thierry Neuville or to Ott Tanak, depending on the needs of the championship. So there is that to consider, isn't there? The other thing to consider is longer term, are Hyundai going to stay in the WRC? They have said that they expect to be here for the next 2 seasons, but after that, will they be here? That's a tricky question, isn't it? And we don't know the answer to that. So he might go there thinking that he's got a long-term contract that might not materialise, because Hyundai might decide to leave, and he might find himself in the same position as Ogier and Lafla and people did at the end of 2016. Or he could go there thinking, do you know what, I'm going to take the risk, top team, I will be in arguably the best car, or very nearly the best car, and that might only last 2 years, but over those 2 years, is a chance for me to really put myself out there and show what I'm capable of. So that's the decision he has to make, isn't it? Does he have the relative security of being at M Sport, where I think they will back him as much as they possibly can back him, because they can't have a Neuville or a Tanak, or does he take a risk and go for what is clearly a better car and a bigger team, and just risk the danger of losing that seat in a couple of years for the chance to be in a top car and potentially get his first win? That's a huge decision for him, isn't it? And I think, that is kind of the fundamental part of it. Would I go? I've got to say, I think if I was in his position, I probably would. If one of the top teams comes knocking, do you say no to that? I'm not sure that you do. If you're a young driver and they're going to offer him full time, do you say no? For me, I don't think so. I think if Hyundai said, we're going to put you in that car every rally, you're going to be in one of the best cars, I would take it. That's no disrespect to M Sport. M Sport do an amazing job. We have to remember they have limited resources compared to the other two teams. They do brilliantly, and I think if he stays there, I think he could well get a first rally win. I think he is showing that he is capable of winning rallies. He needs things to go in his favour a bit. The car, the Puma, I think is still capable of winning rallies, but again, they need things to go their way a bit in terms of, I think it would need a couple of retirements. So I think if he stays at M Sport, he has potential to keep developing. However, for him to get that first win, there's going to have to be some luck, I think, isn't there? Whereas with Hyundai, I think better car. If he can adapt to the car, I think there is a better chance of him getting that first win and potentially cementing himself as a top line driver and building from there, as as others have. We've seen over the years that a lot of drivers have gone through a really, really good development path with M Sport, and then they've jumped to another team, and their career has gone on a rapidly growing trajectory. Elfyn Evans being a prime example of that, or Tanak. So I think if I was in his position, I would find it very, very difficult not to want to follow that. So that is me. Will it happen? I don't know. It is still a rumour, isn't it? We don't actually know what the deal is, whether Hyundai really want him. I think for them, as a quick aside, I think perhaps switching to a permanent driver is probably a good thing. Rather than having this rotation, I think it would give them stability, and I think Fourmaux has shown that he can bring that stability in terms of being consistently able to deliver good results. So I think it would be a good move for them to have a permanent third driver and not have this rotation business. It would be very difficult for M Sport, wouldn't it, obviously, to lose Fourmaux. He has really carried that team this season, and he is their kind of main point scorer and their main results deliverer. But they have options, don't they? They have Martin Sesks waiting in the wings potentially if they can put a deal together there. So there are options for M Sport, but obviously there are also options for Hyundai. The big elephant in the room, perhaps, even though he's not that big, is Oliver Solberg. Do you overlook Solberg for Fourmaux? Because Hyundai could, take another look at Solberg, who obviously has driven for them before. It's a different team to when he drove with them before, I think. Is he the better choice? I think he's probably shown that he's ready for the step up. So if anyone's going to contest that seat from outside the team, then it's probably going to be Solberg, isn't it? So that is my thoughts on the subject. Do let me know yours. I would love to know what you think. Should Fourmaux go to Hyundai if he gets the chance? Should he stay put? Do let me know in the comments below. As always, like, comment, subscribe. Make sure you follow me on all the other socials. And I will see you again next time.